Looks like we're live here, so I'd like to welcome everyone here to the weekly meeting. This is our 16th meeting here this week, and I guess just a few general updates here. Work's continuing to progress. They're working on the utilities still. The road prep down near Old West Main is getting closer up to Rock Grade there. They're working between Old West Main and Cedar here right now. A couple updates here before I turn it over to Meyer. We're going to be looking at some traffic shifts this week, projecting to be switching from Fulton to Franklin for the temporary signal in the left turn pockets. Be looking at probably trying to make that switch Friday morning. Still working through the logistics of the schedule for the temporary paving that's required to create those left turn lanes. And as a reminder, all through lanes on 61 will be temporary paved. The connections from 61 back into, in this case, it'll be Franklin. That'd be temporary gravel, but the 61 portion would be temporary paved, just like it was on the south side. So that's a shift. So we'd be looking at having Franklin and Hill would be your open intersections, with the closure of Fulton, and obviously that's to get the utility work there done in Fulton. Also, we're looking at probably closing Broad Street at the same time as we make the Fulton to Franklin shift, and then that would be the closure of Broad for cross traffic. Obviously, it's still right in, right out from West and East Avenue. We'd probably be looking at keeping that signal still active to give red time to 61 in order to keep the pedestrian crossing open. Obviously, the pavement removal and the utility work would be the first scope there at Broad Street. So we would try to keep that signal open, and then there'd be a time where that signal would go black and it'd just be a straight through, and we'd have to detour pedestrians back down to Bush Street like we did on the south side just to get that work done. There's a new signal pole that gets installed in the northwest corner by Taco John's there, and then to do the sidewalk work just like we did in front of the chamber would require us to detour that pedestrian crossing. So we'll update here on Broad Street. A big part of this weekly meeting is to refine scheduling and stuff, and so we haven't looked at all the details of that yet, but in the weekly update and the turning movement maps, we'll give more direction on how that works. And then we're also going to try to look at opening Old West Main Street to a right in, right out. That would be a gravel surface, but hopefully that alleviate some of the pressure with the closure of Broad. So we'd be looking at that as well, and that's maybe be a 2-week duration that Old West Main could be open before concrete pavement. So some general updates. I'll turn it over to Meyer, let him hit the schedule, and then I can refine a little bit more too. I know there's a lot of information here today, but with that, I'll turn it over. We've got a new face, Scott. He's the assistant project manager with Meyer, so he'll be giving us our update if you would, Scott.
Thanks, Corey. I'm sure you guys have seen we have one of our utility crews working, doing water and sewer laterals from Fulton to Broad this week. Our second utility crew is currently working on the storm in Franklin, in the Franklin intersection. Come Thursday, we plan on, like Corey said, paving that turn lane left in Fulton to do the traffic switch on Thursday night or Friday. Once that's done, we can finish removing pavement in the Fulton and Broad intersections. And once the pavement's removed, we'll continue with the laterals, this water and sewer laterals from Franklin to Fulton and the Fulton Street storm. And we'll have our restoration crew following behind as we go. So that's really all we got.
Scott, what was the date that you mentioned earlier, looking at getting Doyle back in here to start concrete paving, roughly?
Roughly, Doyle should be paving the road come the 19th of August. It's a Wednesday.
Okay.
So in a couple weeks.
So Doyle won't be coming back to do half like they did on the south side? They'll come back when you have the whole works ready, the whole north side, is that correct?
Correct. Once they're here, they're just going to stay and work the whole thing.
It might break up in pieces that they would have to do because we're gonna keep a signal system open, but they may be able to jump it and keep going. But once they're here, they're gonna stay and finish off all the paving from west to east. And be done with it, okay. And then, of course, then there's the fill-in down the middle to tie in the two halves of the project through the middle turn lane down the center as concrete.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Ron, it's tight with just kind of the progression works. The utilities they're going to be the first scope, obviously, and they're driving, getting close to the east end, and that's what's going to accelerate the closure of Broad Street is to get those utility tie-ins done. We're looking at being done with utilities next week, and then it's just a matter of getting the road prep work far enough caught up. And right now, they're getting Old West Main. There's a lot of material there with the tieback and stuff, and so they're working now between Old West Main and Cedar, and that'll continue just to move east. And there's some challenges with not having the connection of 3rd Street and how you get trucks in, so there's a little longer time there because they have to be backing down. They don't have that flexibility of just coming in every side street like we did on the south side. So there's a little more time with the road work. And so that's really kind of what's driving Doyle is just having the road prepped enough to allow them to come in and do their concrete paving. And so that's what's driving right now that 3rd week of August. But there will be the first scope for the paving, and we'll have to constantly update every week on the paving. There's going to be this side's more complicated, certainly from we have to provide some access with salmon beds and Red Wing motors. We obviously still have to provide access at either Fulton or Franklin for those left turners. And then with Broad Street and Old West Main, and then as Jay indicated, we have now the median work in the center of the highway, as well as the connection, that dual left turn lane connection. So there logistically is a lot more to the concrete here on the north side, and so we'll update every week with Doyle and what they feel they can do week to week, and so there'll be a lot of updates with that forthcoming. But that's the intent here, is that once you start seeing concrete, we should see an awful lot of it going down, as Doyle will need to stay on to try to meet the schedule here. So.
Yeah, and with that Old West Main, we said it'd be, we're shooting to try to get that as a right-in, right-out open this week. Then when Doyle comes back in that August 19th time frame, when we close Old West Main for a second time here, that'll be closed until we get the project done. Because at that point, we've got to build all of the roadway through there, the signal system's got to be built, all the tiebacks to the curb and gutter, tying into near Midway Auto there with the road that's along the front of his business. So we just thought it made sense to get it open temporarily, right in, right out while we can, because of this couple week lag between the concrete coming and we're kind of out of there with our construction needs. So we're going to work with Meyer to see that can get done. It'll really help us to alleviate some of the issues that come up with closing Broad Street, to have another access there. So
We've got a local contractor going to demolition the Taco John building.
Okay.
And he can't start till the 13th of August, which I think will be good if he gets on it right away. And he'll be able to have access off of Broad is what I'm thinking, for about a week there before you start sealing things up with concrete. So I'll talk to him, make sure he's ready to go. Right now he's in a 10-day waiting period. The MPCA makes you, after the permit, to wait 10 days before you start. So
Okay.
we'll have to watch that because we do have utilities right there along that side on Broad. I imagine, Larry, once you close and remove Broad this week, you're planning on trying to get a utility crew there next week sometime to try to finish that water main off. And I think it's just water main, right?
yeah, and there's a water service to the Taco John property. We do want that put in because we're going to have sprinklers in that area after Taco John's is removed, the building. And then I'll talk to you in the after meeting, but we want to put a little drainage pot there, and I got a little sketch of how we can do that.
Storm sewer?
Yeah, it's only about 15 feet at 12 inch off of one of the catch basins, and then we can put one of those drainage pots that we took out of the rain gardens and put that right in the site there for drainage inside the site.
Okay.
It'd probably be beneficial to confirm, Ron, if he's able to do all the demoing from Broad Street. Is that your understanding?
That would be my understanding. I'll talk to him and find out.
Just access from the boulevard there, or as far as
That's
loading
right. I
trucks,
think, yeah,
okay.
as long as he has a gravel pad to go in and out with trucks while he's loading stuff up.
Yeah. And we do our plan to keep Broad right there open. As Mike has said from the YMCA, that parking along that side is important to keep open as long as we can. So we want to allow those cars to come up Broad and turn around the nose of that median and get back out. So, so that would be that kind of that area where that contractor is getting access as well. There will be a time when we are going to be right there and we got to close those parking stalls off, but talking to Larry, once he gets the removals done, we'll gravel it so people can still turn around that median and get back out and go down toward the depot and avoid the construction area. So, anything else to expand on?
I don't believe I do, no.
Open it up. And,
Yeah, so I guess with that, we answer any questions, and go ahead, Mike. I think you had your arm up first, so.
So, I mean, plan really matters, so we can communicate with our people, so they're not coming up there and getting confused and panicking and yelling at Jay and yelling at me and so on. So the when that knows is that if we can't turn around that nose of that idiot, that's really important for me to know, so we can try to tell everybody. And also, as we close Main to pedestrian traffic, how much of that sidewalk in the main Broad intersection on the northeast corner that's going to get tore up? I'm assuming all of it.
Yes.
So, yep, to answer, I guess you had two questions there, Mike. As we talked, I will have good communication with you when that turnaround's available, as well as, the confirmed closure of Broad. I think we talked about some signing that would help facilitate the identifying of when there's a turnaround and when there isn't one. And so I'll make sure that's refined here before Friday, before that's closed, and that we're on the same page with that and our expectations going forward. And it will just be a constant available, not available, and how we communicate that. And so certainly we'll work with you on that. And then as far as the concrete work goes, it'll be the project limit going up Broad to the north there. And then we're just going to come around, just like in the Y. We'll find a good spot to the east, around the corner of the chamber there, where we can make a connection or get enough in that we don't have to impact that crossing again then next summer. So it's going to be pretty much a mirror image across the street from each other of what we've done by the chamber there, and it'll be a similar thing at the Y. We'll have new concrete and then the temporary bituminous patching there of the sidewalk and the roadway. So it's going to be exactly the same process.
Sure, I understand, but for people that are parking at Studebaker or on the uphill side of Main, people that are parking there anticipate to walk down the bush and then walk around and walk back down Main, and if there's no sidewalk there, if they're using a walker or a wheelchair or something like that, when we have those people, I need to talk to those people too individually, probably. I just don't know they can't do that.
Yeah, well, as part of the project, and this is going to certainly come to more light next year, is the temporary access, pedestrian access route, and we'll need to refine that. I'm certainly not prepared to answer that question here today, and that's going to be some of the reason why we're going to keep that crossing as long as we're able. So even with the closure Broad Friday, that crossing's still going to be there, which will give us here a little time this week to figure out and coordinate that with you. But we certainly aren't going to sign people to a spot that they can't get through. So we'll just need to review that a little closer, and if we have to make a little, temporary way to get around there to still get to the Y, we'll review that, and so people aren't signed to a vertical drop off where handicap accessibility isn't maintained. So great concerns. Not prepared necessarily to give you all the answers here today, but stuff we're certainly aware of, and we'll have addressed before we make these changes.
Well, I'm all ears, and we have to communicate as fast as we can to our members, so we don't. Someone could get hurt. Someone dang near got ran over that first day. The switch on the left.
Right.
So that's why I'm so anxious.
No, understood.
No, that's understood. Yep. And we'll, You know, like Corey was saying, it'll be signed to an access route that will be put in place, and that access route won't be as good as the new sidewalk that's going in. We're going to do everything we can to make it accessible, but there may be a point where we get that put together and you look at it and say, you know, that's probably not best for some of my clients to use. We may have to do something different or work with you on a different route for them. You know, so, because, you know, when we're talking about a gravel walkway is different than, of course, having that hard concrete surface for the walkers and wheelchair access and stuff like that, so.
I
But-
think you're being perfectly reasonable. I think
Yep.
we got to do work and just trying to get this concern up real high.
Sure.
You know that I'll work with you to do anything.
Yep. And a big part of that is really phasing. If we can really hold off on getting some of that stuff removed out of there until we're ready to build it and put it back in place, then we can just do a closure and get it put back in and get that sidewalk back in order. So we'll work with the contractor on that as well.
Jay, I think we're probably gonna have to stay short of that hydrant that's right there anyway, because that will be live until next year's project, so we probably won't be able to go that too far to the east
Yeah.
and on that
Yep.
intersection.
It'll really be the radius is where we've got to concentrate on. Yep.
So when you close Broad, where are we sending trucks that are kind of what happens?
It's likely going to be Bush Street. I know that there was a number of them that took that there on the south, when we were on the south portion. It'll either be Bush Street or Bench Street. And then I think some of the benefit there with getting Old West Main open to right in, right out is it maybe would allow them to use Old West Main as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to talk here with Jay if we want to sign that more specifically than what we've had. We have a Levy Road detour right now, and that uses Bench Street. But yes, we'll have to. It's going to put a lot of stress from a truck traffic standpoint, certainly, of where they make that right turn to get down to Levy Road, and probably need to review that just a little bit closer too. So that's either obvious where they need to go, or where maybe we want them directed, and that might require some signing. But it's really wherever. Bush Street seems to make the most sense, and to avoid driving through the project. Otherwise, it would likely then be Bench Street, or maybe the cut through there at Old West Main. I'm not sure, but so right
Yeah.
where we'd like them to go.
No, and then there'll be the signing, and then those that don't follow the signing will take the route that, Mike's smiling back there, but he knows what I'm talking about. You could sign a route, and then there'll be some that take it, and others that say, okay, this is the direct route to where I need to go. So we need to think that through a little bit, and make sure that if Bush Street does get used, that it's that we have it, that they can get through there, and we do the signage properly and as safe as possible. So.
I think it'd be best just to use Bench Street for, the official
The
route.
official, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking officially, but.
People that
yeah.
are leaving that typically come up Broad, they'll have to go around to Bush Street and get out that way.
Yep.
But when we do get ready to close that, we should let Red Wing Grain know.
Yeah, we're going to
so
be in
that-
contact with Jim Larson on that.
So
at
that
Red
they
Wing
can
Grain.
send out an email to their people that bring the grain in.
Yep.
Because they've got contracts with those people, so they've got all their info.
Patty?
I just have a couple things that have been brought to us. The Dairy Queen drive-through is confusing. People don't quite understand where they're supposed to go with that. So I don't know, is there going to be like lines painted or anything?
The Dairy Queen, it's now, we put his entrance where we had agreed to, and he has got to move a sign and do painting. He's, the owner of the Dairy Queen has a bunch of work to move the signboard yet, and so what's happening is, he's got some work, and I had a note that that we need to set up a meeting with him and see what his plans are now that he owns the Liquor King site, which will be, he'll have a longer drive-through, it'll be a better drive-through. It's just a matter of now the on-site improvements have to be made, and those are private improvements. So it is, so we do need to meet with him and see what his plans are on that.
the sign is there.
Yep.
So they go, and then there's the big sign in the way, and then
Yeah.
they're trying to loop around and kind of crazy there. So
He actually was talking to the electrician that is on our project, Egan Electric, who's doing the work, and got a price from them to do some of the moving his signboard and then moving his main sign. So I don't know where those discussions have gone, but
And I know you've been working closely with video trading. We spent an hour with him yesterday. He's just very concerned because it's getting real tricky to. He sits on that corner of
Hill.
Hill and I was just one. When I drove past him today, I was like, I see where you're concerned. Question on that island there. I said, you know, you guys have been great talking with him. He was just looking for a time or
Maybe we can, and we've had a lot of conversations with the businesses on the north. Corey, maybe we'll make a note of actually doing a visit there. And
I talked to him last night.
you did talk to him last night, Larry? Okay.
because I talked to him yesterday, probably Monday-ish.
Vehicle access is certainly going to be restored far greater than pedestrian access, but I mean, you can get a little feel for the schedule. You know, the paving looking at third week of August, and the roadway is certainly going to hold precedence. So it's going to a little bit of time here before that sidewalk all gets connected there, unfortunately. But if there's something we need to do to keep getting pedestrians in, or there's customers in the front door there, we can certainly review that. But it's tough. He's right.
Yep.
That front door is real close to the project, and certainly the.
Patch of sidewalk that was left is going to stay in place as long as possible, and then that'll go too, that'll get paved out. Yeah.
There is certainly some sidewalk there along his building that will remain. That's outside the right of way. I'm not sure exactly how that's configured there now.
Yeah.
But there's certainly some sidewalk that's remaining, but the stuff within the right of way obviously will all get redone. And I think there is some still remaining while it's within the right of way, but
Yep, there is.
we can meet with him though.
Yeah, I think it's good to just kind of touch base, go over schedule, and you know, we'll definitely make a point to stop in there.
And thanks for the receiving signage.
Yes.
It helps a lot.
Good.
I don't know if it confused people coming in because we were at the park, but I was afraid I just picture them went, oh, we turn here, and then probably,
Yeah.
around and up and through, but it all works, so.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Jerry, any update you want to give on utilities or?
Not really, no.
week?
Everything's kind of moving along.
Okay. Ron, anything else that you can think of before we turn it over to Jeff for an update on the overlay? Want to do that?
Okay, thanks, Jay. Paving on the north side of town is complete, so things are a lot quieter up there today. We have to follow that up. There's shouldering to complete. There's some of our center line specialized striping we have to take care of, which is delayed a little bit. The subcontractor's got to get their materials yet, so that's been a little bit of a delay. So they're not probably going to make it until Friday is the current plan. So I'd hope to maybe get the northbound barrels moved this week, but it looks like it'll be middle of next week before that'll take place. So then I guess when that crew comes in, hopefully they can just finish off the northbound side and then flip over to the southbound and get that taken care of. So things will be a little quieter on the north side. Still a little bit more time to have the lanes closed, so we're still working on that, getting that done as soon as possible. Work on the south side of downtown here began in earnest on Monday. Things are a little bit chaotic there, a little bit tighter zone with the milling machine on one side and the paving machines on the other, and them flipping around in short notice there. So I think the milling operation will be completed today. They expect to have mainline paving done by about noon on Thursday. There's far less paving on the south side than there was in the north. And then when they get the main line, then they got to do the shouldering. So I think by the end of the week, barring any weather, I think we got a little bit of weather potential here later in the week. If they get all that done, they might have the paving done by the end of this week, by Saturday. So that would be nice to get that all taken care of. Have been in communications with the triathlon event that's taking place on Sunday, so I don't think obviously they won't be working Sunday, so that won't be an issue. We just want to make sure there aren't any barrels laying along the shoulder there that might impede them as they go down 61, so I don't think we'll have any major problems with that. So things kind of winding down to major operations again. When you get through the paving, things get a lot quieter. So hopefully, I'm still very confident by the end of August here, we should have every last item hopefully wrapped up. I'm kind of looking at the 28th of August is the time when you won't see anybody else out there on our project. So that's kind of the, barring some weather issues, we should be pretty good shape for that. So yeah, hopefully the major operations, the paving will be done by the end of the week, and then things will start to get a lot less orange on both sides of town, and we'll be pulling out hopefully by the end of August.
So Jeff, that's, just to expand on that, if people asking questions, there's no work, there's no paving or shouldering going on right now out on the north side.
No.
But the barrels, of course, have to stay in place because there's no striping there, and those are going to be needed by the stripers when they do come to town.
Correct. A lot of the tasks that have to happen can happen without the lanes closed, but it's going to take a heck of a lot longer, it'll be a lot less safe. So being that they're there, we just feel like let's just leave it up. We've been champions about dealing with it for the whole rest of the summer here, so another week. And we'll get that stuff done. It'll be so much faster and get it done quicker, and we'll just do what we need to do with those lanes up, and as soon as that's it, we'll get those lanes opened up again. And there'll be a few little tasks that will take place afterwards, but that can be done under traffic pretty easily. Be a little quiet for a day or two here. I'm hoping to get the people to do the shouldering to show up as quickly as possible, so a little easier to take with having the lanes closed. But without the trucks running back and forth with the pave, that's half the problem with the paving operations. They're running their trucks in and out, and that almost causes more traffic problems than the lane closure does itself. So things will be a lot less congested on the north side of town. Traveling through the south side of town, it's a little busy at the moment, but again, the first step of the milling machine will get out of there, so their trucks will be gone the next day, and then a couple more days of hardcore paving, and then things will start to shape up pretty nicely on the south side of town here. So then it's just about shouldering and striping and getting those last little details cleaned up, and then away we go. So.
Ron, do you have a question?
Yeah, on some of those intersections like Tyler Road, probably Bench, I haven't looked at that one that close, where they were paving those edges off into the off streets, the side streets. The tack kind of got covered some of our striping on our side streets.
I was noticing that.
I had that as a note to talk to
Will
today
they
about.
finish striping? When they stripe, will they come out past those tack lines?
We're going to have to discuss. Yeah, we'll have to discuss what we do to kind of clean it up. I've noticed it too. They're
Okay.
pretty well. The reflectivity is kind of destroyed. So we'll have to talk about what we can do for that. I'm not sure.
Some of it's not only, I had notes here, not only straight striping, but some of our arrows.
Yeah, the turn arrows.
Oh, yeah,
are
the
Turn arrows are
arrows are-
covered,
yeah,
so,
turn arrows are
but that
covered.
tack that got tracked onto our roads, I think if we could add that on to
Yeah,
get
so
that done.
we
And
might-
it'd be different than the tape that they're using,
True,
right?
true.
That would be more, they'd have to bring down the epoxy
Yeah,
machine
but
to spray that.
if I got tape there, we'll look at it. If there's
Take
a
a
way
look
to,
at it.
if there's a way to clean it, we'll clean it. If not, we might just have to replace
So
it.
the highway is using tape?
Yeah, the center line is a tape. It's called poly preform. It's kind of a newer thing we're using. You've probably seen it, just don't maybe recognize it.
Yeah.
Well, they used to roll poly preform
I
in
thought it
while
got-
you were paving.
Yeah, I
but
thought it got rolled in during the pavement.
Now they
It's a
developed a
separate-
new process, which they do after, and just as a much better way to get it in accurately and.
They actually grind out a little bit of the pavement, so it actually sits down so the plows don't rip it up either.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more of an intense process, but it probably lasts a lot.
So you're not doing any actual painting then?
The painting will be the edge lines, the
Okay.
outside edge lines will do that. So that can be done under traffic. That's just the machine going on the road. So
That might be what we would need on some of these side streets.
yeah, that might.
When
If
they're-
if it's just repainting, that's nothing. We
Yeah.
can do that. But those arrows might be a little more. I mean, we might just
Yeah.
add a couple. If we can't clean them, we'll just grind them off and redo them.
All
So
right.
we can take care of that. I don't think we'll do any of that on the south side. So much of that's just little patches, and so I think it's all just painting on the south side. So
Yeah.
that'll probably go a lot smoother, a lot faster.
Any questions for Jeff with the overlay project that's coming to an end here? I know I've heard, actually heard of some good comments on the turn lane added at Svestapool there, or Lakuta Road, and yeah.
Festival, yeah.
Yep.
I think those both are gonna
Those
both are
safety
gonna work out
improvements.
very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it from a few people that, said that's nice safety improvement down on that end.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed is you guys don't put a cross-hatching in between the two double, as the lanes pull apart to make.
Right,
the lane.
that's the way it's always been done, and it's not there. I don't know
I
if
like
there's
the
again.
I like the
Yeah.
cross-hatching better.
It makes it stand out a lot more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the process was. I've seen that in other places too.
Yeah.
It might be something we're changing. I don't know why.
That's usually how we do it when we do one,
Yeah, yeah.
and I like it a lot better.
I kind of do too. I might discuss that.
It's more paint and more maintenance to keep it up, but I do like the cross-hatching
Makes
between
it-
when you're doing a lane shift like that.
Makes that spot pop a lot more. I know
Yeah.
it seems a little odd to me too. Might be something we're experimenting with. See how it works. It can always be repainted later, I guess.
Yeah.
So I will be on vacation next week. So I don't know if we'll get anybody else up here. Jay can stop by our meeting, come up with an update. If not,
I'll plan
but,
to stop in the meeting and then give the update on the overlay.
We're starting to discuss not having our weekly meetings anymore. We're starting to run out of things to talk about. So coordination is getting less and less when you start running out of the tasks to accomplish. So
That'll be good when we run out of things to talk about. We usually sit here for a few hours after this meeting, so.
so.
Okay, with that, I guess we'll close the meeting. Thank you for coming.